Hi.
Welcome to Book Pop.
I'm Molly Fish.
And I'm Jamie Anderson. And we have a special guest today.
Angela Russell.
Yay!
Thank you so much for being here, Angela. We are thrilled to talk to you.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Well, Angela is the Chief Diversity Officer and President of True Stage Foundation at True Stage. I'm going to get through this. It's a whole page.
How much are you going to do?
So daunting.
What do you want us to focus on for the bio?
I'm a mom.
Yeah.
2 teenagers, 14 and 15.
Number one with a bullet. I'm a mom. Love that.
Yeah. Being a mom.
That's great. But you also have like some... I'm sorry, but like you've won awards. You are fantastic.
Not for mothering.
Oh my gosh, I wish they gave awards out for mothering. Like, well deserved. But you are also the host of Black Oxygen, your own podcast.
I am.
And we want to talk about that too. But we also want to get some advice as new podcasters.
Yeah, you've been podcasting for a minute now.
Yes.
How many minutes? How long have you been doing Black Oxygen?
More than 5 minutes. So I've been doing it. I'm going into my 5th year.
Nice.
Yes. So for a while.
Yeah. Anything? Okay, we're new to podcasting. We're just doing our first season of Book Pop. What is your number one thing that you wish someone told you when you were doing season 1 of Black Oxygen?
That doing a podcast is a lot of work. I had no idea. I mean, I'm assuming you're learning this.
Yes, we are figuring that out. That is happening.
Yep. We gave up our one day off to, to do this.
That's right.
And yeah, that gets a little exhausting for sure.
Yes. And it's also really gratifying to hear so many stories as well. And when I take a break from doing Black Oxygen, I can feel it in my body. I can feel it in my bones. And a few months ago, when I was taking a break, my son is like, Mom, you need Black Oxygen just like you need to work out. Not that he was telling me that I needed to go work out, but it's on par with the impact of working out for me.
That it's almost like part of a health routine. Yep. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is a lot of work, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a lot of work. You're just talking, having a conversation, but wowza.
Jamie does most of the work, so I believe you though.
It looks hard. Chats
when I can tell she is working really hard at it. Let me put it that way. And I'm sure you also work really hard on Black Oxygen.
Yeah, but Jamie also works really hard.
Jamie works really hard on Black Oxygen too.
Full disclosure, yes, I do also do the editing and producing for Black Oxygen, which I'm thrilled about. I enjoy it very much. Yes. You always have great conversations and you're interviewing such dynamic people.
And you have to edit out a lot of laughing.
Okay. Yes, I do. But I love that about you. You keep it fun.
Yeah.
You really do.
Okay, talk more about Angela and all the amazing stuff she does because she's so impressive and we need everyone to know.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, Angela was the recipient of the inaugural DEI Trailblazer Award for the African American Credit Union Coalition. In 2018, Angela was named one of the nation's most powerful diversity executives by Black Enterprise magazine.
I didn't know about that one.
Oh
my God.
In 2016, Miss Russell was named one of the 44 most influential African Americans in Wisconsin.
I keep trying to tell my kids that I'm very influential.
Right?
Yeah.
How's it working?
It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't work.
Influential outside of your own home. Inside, less influence.
Right.
Yeah, Angela also serves on the board of directors for Just Dane, which is focused on providing programming for individuals returning to Dane County community from incarceration, which is hugely important. In 2023, she also joined Downtown Madison Inc. board and works through advocacy, research, planning, and community action to create and sustain healthy and vibrant downtown Madison.
So you're on the DMI DEI board?
I'm just on DMI, but yeah, right. Yes. Isn't that funny?
DMI DEI.
But also, as far as your podcast, Black Oxygen was awarded the 2021 Wisconsin Innovation Award as well.
It was. Yes.
So amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
This is why we ask you for advice.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
And really just any life advice, it seems like you can.
Oh my God.
I could help us.
I read a lot of self-help books. That's my life advice.
Same.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to our first question. What are you reading?
So many things. So one book that I'm reading right now is How to ADHD, because literally 3 weeks ago at 46 years old, I was diagnosed with ADHD.
Amazing.
Yes. What else am I reading? How to Live Free in a Dangerous World. I'm also reading Leslie Jones's memoir. And there's a couple of other books I have on my bookstand or nightstand, which, can you tell by the number of books that I'm reading, I may have ADHD?
That's right. You do flip around a lot. And we've talked about that before with your reading, because you always are like, you're a mood reader, right?
I am definitely
and
a
you just
mood
kind of like
reader.
want to always try new things because you're
Yes.
excited about the new
Yes.
thing.
Yep, I am.
Oh.
I am. And I have a to be read pile that just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I need to have a to be read room at this point.
I was going to say, where do you keep them all? Do you have
Oh,
stacks on the floor, a shelf?
yes. Yes and yes.
Yes and yes.
Talking about how to organize one's books is one of my favorite things to talk about.
Let's get into
I've seen Angela's bookshelf.
Yes.
It is beautiful.
Tell me everything.
I organize my books by color.
Gorgeous.
I know that's very controversial. And before I moved into the house that I'm in right now, I would have never, like ever. I was so judgy. And now that I've done it, I'm like, oh my God, this is magic.
Stunning.
It is. It is stunning. It's like a piece of artwork. And I actually remember where the books are by color.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
That's true. If you have a visual memory, that can be really helpful. Okay, wait. Will you send us a picture we could put on like our Instagram
Absolutely.
of this?
Yes.
I want to see it also personally, but I feel like people listening will want to see.
So the books in my office are organized by color, and the books in my bedroom, because I have a, in addition to my to be read pile on my nightstand, I also have a shelf of books in my bedroom as well, organized by color.
Amazing. And then do you do like color mood mapping then? If you're like, okay, what am I picking from the to be read pile? Like,
No, I don't necessarily choose my book by color. I choose my book by what I feel like I need at the moment. And what's really embarrassing is, outside of the books I've named, I've been really into romance these days.
don't be embarrassed.
I think that have I told you, Molly, like I feel like when I buy a romance novel, I need to have it in a brown paper bag, because we're in Madison, we're pretty highbrow readers.
It's true, but don't you feel like that's changing a little bit? Maybe it's just me being here and us empowering with like a front and center giant romance section and romantasy, that I've like lost a lot of my shame about it. And I am like loud and proud romance out on the bus, on the patio, walking down the street. But maybe I'm just like
It's normalized.
loud and proud. It's normalized for me, but maybe you're still feeling the glances.
Yeah, I haven't purchased Thumped and Dumped yet.
Okay, you need to listen to Angela's podcast with Charles Payne. I made Molly look this up the other day. It's like, you have to see the cover of these books.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe the covers other than like, oh my God.
The eggs.
The full egg and then the broken egg. Yeah.
But I will say, well, there's like, I don't know. I think our thing in general is just not judging people for what they read, whether it's,
That's so kind.
I mean, I think you should read. We're just trying to promote reading in general. And I feel like when you do that with kids too, and you like let them read graphic novels, if they're into it, help them like the thing that they're into. And then that will grow and change. And like people, so like young women who are into romance novels, I'm like, great. Get it. Develop a reading habit.
Yeah.
And then it'll be easier for you to read other things.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So I go into I'm in a romance phase, but then also when I go into nature, I kind of want a naturey type of vibe, or if I'm at a cabin, I want a cabin type of vibe. A great nature book to read is Simplicity of Cider. It's not about nature per se, but it's a good book to cozy up to when you're at
It's
a
great,
cabin.
like descriptions. It is like cozy.
Yeah.
Nature descriptions.
Yeah, I love it. And it's based in Door County. It's just
By a local author.
yes. I love books based in Wisconsin. I'm a nerd for that.
Same.
What are you reading, Molly?
Okay, I recently read Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. I wanted to talk about that. Did you say that you had read it, Angela?
I have it on my shelf.
Okay, it's on the shelf.
But I've heard a lot about it, and it's talked a lot. Yeah.
Well, and the reason I've always wanted to read it, and the reason I picked it up, so she wrote it in the 80s. it starts that it takes place in 2024, and it's about this young woman. She's turning 15 in 2024, and she's living, it's a dystopian future from the 80s into 2024, and it is wildly similar to what we could be living right now.
Seriously?
It is like climate change rampant. Everything is deserts. People live in walled off cities and like neighborhoods, little neighborhoods, because there's climate change has created this vast wealth disparity.
Oh, interesting.
Again, we're already on our way, right? And so the wealth disparity has created stronger NIMBY situations where everyone's just like, no, never. We would never. This is what I mean. It's like too real. And so but everyone like marries across neighborhood. Like they're literally trying to create further civilization. So anyway, this young girl is living in this world and realizes like, this isn't enough. This is not, we're still going deeper into a path of like, it's only getting worse. Politicians in this world are very jaded and like trying to almost have indentured servitude as like a way out of these really terrible situations. You can go work in these scary factories and you live there for free, quote unquote, but you're not getting paid because you're getting free housing, but people are so desperate for housing that, so it's like not a too distant future dystopian terrible situation. And she kind of develops this theory of we need to leave the earth, and like the earth is done, we've killed it, and maybe someday we will get to go to Mars and populate somewhere else. And in the meantime, she's trying to create this little peaceful pocket and kind of becomes like a cult leader, and then is traveling and picking up, trying to find the good people in this world who will listen to her. But she's this young woman, and so it's just a really intense world and situation. There's a lot of violence, but it's really, in the end, hopeful and beautiful. But it's like an abstract hope of like, maybe we'll get to Mars someday, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it was quite difficult at times for sure.
Yeah, that sounds intense.
Anyway, I loved it. And there is a second one called Parable of the Talents, where it continues her journey. Like she's established this little compound. And I do want to read that one, but it felt like kind of indulgent to read both of them right in a row when I have to be reading lots of other stuff.
Right. Sounds like when you need like a light
also,
break.
I needed a break. I needed a break. It was a lot. But I definitely enjoyed it. And just the prescience of 2024 and the fact that that's when it takes place. And then it takes place over maybe 8 years after that. But that's when it starts. It's like too real. So anyway, really loved it. Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. She does classics. A lot of sci-fi, a lot of dystopia. And so if you like things like that and you want to get a little bit bummed out about climate change, this might be a good book for you. Jamie, what are you reading?
Okay, so I finished the Paris novel by Ruth Reichel. This takes place in the 80s.
Oh.
Which I like when it goes back a little bit and takes like the technology and the accessibility out of the story.
Let's get rid of cell phones.
Yes, exactly. But Stella, the protagonist in this book, her estranged mother dies and leaves her a one-way plane ticket to Paris and is like, here's some money, but you can only have it if you go to Paris. And so she decides to go. Yeah, bummer. Bummer. And it's in the 80s and it's like $8,000. So like at first
I'm like, pretty far.
Right.
In the 80s.
In the 80s. Great. But then she goes to a vintage shop and she tries on this vintage designer dress. And it fits her like a glove. And the store owner is like, it's amazing. You need to buy this dress. And she's like, I can't afford it. It'll be like all my money. And the dress owner says, well, you buy the dress, wear it, go to this restaurant and go to this museum and come back tomorrow. And if you want to return the dress, I'll give you your money back. So she goes and she does that. And she goes to the restaurant and she has oysters and she's eating at a restaurant in this beautiful dress, and she meets somebody who takes her on this wild adventure in Paris. And she meets all these wonderful people, and she's staying at Shakespeare and Company, like during the height of that energy there. And then there's also this point where she never knows who her father is, and she gets to learn about maybe who he is. And so it's like a little bit of a mystery.
To Paris?
So it's like a fun little mystery, and it's the way Ruth Reichel writes about food is always amazing. Like that is deliciousness in itself.
Pain au chocolat. Picturing like escargot.
Yes.
And a lot of French delicious descriptions.
Yes. And then food becomes a big part of Stella's life in the end of the story. And it was a great escapism into
That sounds
80s
lovely.
Paris.
It really
was
does.
lovely. Yes.
It makes me want to buy the book. That's why you do this.
That's why I do this.
is why we do it.
It's also why we read, because we.
Yeah, it is why we read.
Yes. So that is The Paris Novel by Ruth Reichel.
Great salesmanship there.
And that's a new
I do
one.
wanna
It
read
just
it did.
it
And
just
we have
came
some
out.
signed copies here for sale at Lake City.
Wow. That's awesome.
I want to talk about, you said first and foremost, you're a mother.
I'm a mama.
You have 2 children that are the loves of your life and also are a regular source of feedback.
Oh my God, I had such feedback all the time.
I relate to that so hard. So they're teenagers,
14 and 15.
14 and 15.
And I'll just give you several examples. So one day, this was last winter, I thought I was actually going to go out in public wearing this outfit that I thought was quirky, fun, and unique. I come out of my room and my son looks at me. He's like, "What?" I'm like, "What? This fun, quirky?" He's like, "You look like someone who's trying to cosplay a grandma."
What are we talking about? What was this outfit?
Okay, so
Muumuu?
no, I fucking love a muumuu.
I love a muumuu too. Literally wearing a muumuu.
Yeah. No, this was a dress. It had some lines on it. And I think I went overboard with wearing it with a V-neck, fuzzy, hot pink sweater. And I was trying too much.
Does not sound grandma to me.
It was a hot mess. It was so bad.
Oh,
It
that
was
brutal honesty of
Always.
teenagers. Yep.
Always. My son also has on his notes app, he takes notes of weird things that I say. And then when he gets mad at me, he'll just send me a link to his notes. So I see all the weird things that I've said recently.
Brutal.
Oh my gosh. I love your
I
son.
was going to say, frankly, it's kind of impressive.
Right?
Okay, do you want to hear an example?
Yes.
Just so embarrassing. And I was trying to tell him about my childhood, and I like the show The Chipmunks.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, "So Ben, I had a crush on Alvin, but I knew I was more of a Simon kind of girl."
Angela,
What?
that is so great.
And I just put it out there on a podcast.
I did not see that coming. You got me with that one.
That is the very first thing in his notes.
Do you have another one? Because I really want another one.
Yeah, do another one.
Wait, hold on.
Maybe that'll help me move on.
Okay, this one's embarrassing. So there is a show called Polka Dot Door on PBS when I was younger, and they had marigolds on the show. I was allergic to marigolds, so I was afraid to watch the show. But then I would sneak to watch Polka Dot Door, and I felt really guilty about it. So that's in the notes.
Your logic is undeniable.
Oh man, this is in the notes too. Mom said, and then it has it in quotes, "You know how a phoenix rises from the ashes? I feel like a bitch rising from the ashes."
I love that one.
Oh, yeah. Also relatable.
Mom winked at me in the middle of the early STEM college orientation. He thinks that it's weird that I texted him, "Just keep swimming," like in Finding Nemo. I was trying to give him
Encouragement. Yeah.
I say that to myself on like a weekly basis.
Uh-huh.
Just keep swimming.
Yep. But yeah, Alvin. And I am more of a
She
Simon
just
girl.
pulled herself together.
I just got it back together.
I am more of a, we're on a book podcast.
Yeah.
So, totally Simon. He also thought it was weird that I had a crush on animation. But it was like, yeah.
Please, Jessica Rabbit.
No kidding.
I was very confused about Jessica Rabbit for a long time. Pete knows what I'm talking about.
Roger Rabbit. That's been a minute.
Right?
Wow.
Just saying. There's nothing wrong with that. We're kids.
Right.
There's a lot of animals and they're very sexualized.
Yes.
Oddly sexualized.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And not so much the chipmunks though.
I mean,
They
they're
were
in a onesie. I mean, not like a baby onesie, but they're in like a muumuu with their initials
sweater.
on it.
Yeah.
See, I feel like I'm a Simon, so I am attracted to Alvins because I need someone to shake me. I'm always going to be the rule follower book nerd who's like, all right, Alvin, we shouldn't do that. And then I need someone to
Oh my gosh.
shake me out of
I
that.
have a confession.
Oh, did you have a crush on Alvin too?
No, I wanted to be Alvin because I wanted to
Yeah,
be the
yeah,
cool,
yeah.
the cool one. I actually still have a red hoodie with an A on it.
Do you?
Really?
like-
oh, that's
It's
amazing.
the Alvin sweater in a hoodie.
That's amazing.
I love it.
I'm
Me too.
the Simon, though. Let's be real.
I feel like you might be a Theodore. I'm not gonna
Oh my god.
Thanks. And aloof
I forget about Theodore a lot.
with the chubby
goofball.
cheeks.
No, he's the
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna go back and watch some.
I know. They made new ones of those too.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Anyway, chipmunks aside,
Yes.
let's talk more about Black Oxygen and your season, which is a literary season this
is.
time.
Yes. This theme of Black Oxygen is all about the books that shape us. So I love talking about books, clearly, and apparently cartoons, which I did not realize. But yeah, I want to know what books people are reading and why, and kind of how it shapes who they are. And the conversations have been really interesting thus far. Like with Charles Payne, I was surprised to learn that he wasn't a reader initially, and learning about why folks were readers or not readers early on, because I assumed, bad assumption on my part, if you're a reader as an adult, of course you were totally into books when you were a kid. And apparently that's not always the case.
I always assume that too. So how did he get into reading? Give us a little sneak peek of that episode.
He got glasses.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah. And not being able to kind of see the words
Wow.
And then you get glasses and then you can find an escape, you know, in reading.
Amazing.
Fascinating. Yeah. I had a similar experience getting glasses. Not necessarily with reading, but like being outside and wearing glasses and like, that's what a tree looks like. And I could always read books up close, but it was,
Same, because I'm also nearsighted like you. So then, I was like,
Maybe
maybe
that's-
leaves on the trees.
maybe that's why we were so in books as we were kids.
Yeah, you could see up close. Or are we nearsighted because we were so into books and we're just focused in front of our face?
Yeah.
I don't know how eyeballs work.
Me neither.
Neither do I.
Are you nearsighted?
I'm farsighted.
Farsighted.
And I have been since I was 7. That's when.
Really?
Yeah. So I used to get headaches reading, and it was because I was farsighted.
Yeah.
When I had initially started wearing glasses off and on for a very long time, and then now my eyes are just fully bizarre because I'm farsighted, and it's hard to. Yeah, it's just really weird.
You got like both
Yeah.
going on now, kind of.
Aging, I'm aging, middle age. You know.
It's coming for us all.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
4,000 weeks.
I picked up that book because of you.
Yeah, I talk about it a lot.
It's in my to be read pile. I don't know which pile.
Well, it's a vibrant yellow, so
It
I
is a
imagine it's
vibrant
by
yellow.
other.
So my books are only organized by color once they're on the shelf, but when
I
they're in
see.
the piles,
Yeah.
I like if I have book piles around my house. Does that mean I have too many books?
It just means you don't have enough shelves.
Yes, I like
Right.
that. Yep.
I have piles too.
Yeah.
I'm at the point where I'm starting to pile, which puts me on the lookout for what I'd rather have is a half empty shelf, because then when I bring books home, I'm like, ooh, I should bring books home because I have a half empty shelf rather than coming home and being like, where am I going to put this one?
I was very impressed by your TBR shelf.
You have a TBR shelf?
It's not as bad as I thought it was.
Yep.
Gonna
It's
be.
It's 4 shelves, but they're only like
They're
a foot and a
thin.
half wide right next to my bed. And so I kind of tier them by like, what am I going to read next potentially? And I put that at the top shelf. And then like, what is just down here? Like I haven't read it, but it's probably not going to be a high priority.
Do you ever buy books that you eventually think that I just need to get rid of this because I'm not going to read it?
Definitely. Yeah. But luckily I have a bookstore that I own and I can just bring them here and sell them to people.
Nice.
I love when I sell a book that is just like mine. Like I'll have put it on the shelf and someone will be buying it. And I'm just thinking like, I read that one. And then now I'm selling it to you.
That's awesome.
Because I don't need
like that
to keep
too.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're like, that was my copy.
It was.
And
it's like personal. It's like a fun little.
you're moving it on to the next person.
But it does help because I felt like I couldn't buy books as much. And I was a library person for a long time, more than I am now. And we love the library. And I totally support library people who don't buy books. But now it's, I've become kind of a hoarder of books. I'm not going to lie about it.
It's part of your aesthetic. I wouldn't say
Sure is.
hoarding.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
pretty
me
aesthetic.
being in denial.
Yeah.
Hoarding.
Exactly.
I get to use that as an excuse too. Just like, well, I work at a bookstore. That's why I have so many
please.
books.
Exactly.
Oh, what's my excuse gonna be?
Black Oxygen. You talk about books.
I do
You have.
talk about books. I just love books.
Yeah.
I really do.
See, no excuse needed.
Yeah.
One of the questions that you ask on Black Oxygen to all your guests this season is where their favorite place to read is. Something I'm very curious to know where your favorite place to read is.
I have so many.
Can I guess one of yours? Your back patio. You were just talking about like spending time there this morning, and I was like, I know what you were doing.
Yes. How did you know?
I know you a little bit.
Yeah. My back porch, especially when it's nice out and the sun is out, like I kick up. I have 2 chairs and I kick up my legs and just read. The only thing that helps me to kind of get a break in reading when I'm kind of in the zone is the sun, because if it starts kind of moving and it's like right on my face too long, I'll get up and move or go do something else in the house. But that's one of my favorite places to read. Love it. I also love a good coffee shop to read at.
Same.
And I've been known to bring a book to Jenna's. Just read there.
We're big bar readers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jenna's, we didn't even think of that one.
No,
I
we
don't think I've
didn't.
read at Jenna's ever. What's the vibe like? Do you do outside or?
I don't read outside. Generally, there's a tall table by the bathrooms, and I can pull up a chair and read there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not too loud.
I don't notice it.
Sure. Sometimes there's like a good amount of loud where it's just kind of like a buzz of,
Yeah.
you're not hearing one conversation.
Yeah.
And then you can read.
The other place I like to read is when I'm traveling and I'm doing dinners alone, and like dinners alone while reading.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Yep.
And then sometimes on planes, if I'm feeling whatever I'm reading.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of places. I love reading at my cabin. And the reason I love reading at my cabin is that I don't have Wi-Fi or any kind of cellular service, so I don't get distracted.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have vinyl record player there, spinning some tunes, hearing nature.
Off the grid.
Yes.
Where's your cabin?
In the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin. That's the
Okay,
name of the
great.
town.
Yeah. No, I mean, don't tell us the real name then because I'll come find you.
It's literally a random place in between Wapaka and Stevens Point.
Okay.
So just under 2 hours from Madison.
Nice.
And it's a little A-frame in the middle of the woods.
So cute.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
Good for
Yes. I
you.
love
Yes. I love reading at a cabin.
Me too.
And I always try to, I'll bring like so ambitiously, I'll bring like, 4 books for 2 days.
Why?
Because I'm like, what else am I going to do? And it's like, well, you're going to have to, but it's more like, oh, I don't know which one. I'm going to finish this one. And then what will I want to read? I need like a little choice.
Yeah.
A little mini TBR, if you will.
I love going to secondhand stores in central Wisconsin to see what kind of books are available. And so I populate my cabin shelves with books that have been from that area generally.
Amazing.
I bet you learn a lot from doing that too.
Oh,
Just about the area and the people.
yeah.
And yeah.
yeah. It's awesome. It's so interesting.
So what are your favorite reads?
7 Days in June. Incredible romance novel.
By Tia Williams.
Tia Williams.
Yep.
And I think you told me about this
Yep.
book. So good. I did not want it to end.
Yep.
Highly recommend. Emergent Strategy by Adrienne Marie Brown. I love this book, and I come back to it often. So as you said in my intro, I do DEI work, and this is a huge guide for me and how I think about work. It's really about systems change, not about calling people out. What is the individual work that we need to be doing at an individual level and a macro level? So this book, I highly, highly recommend. I use it a lot.
Amazing.
Valerie Kaur, See No Stranger. This woman is amazing. Love, love, love Valerie Kaur. I had an opportunity to interview her for work several years ago, and I almost started crying while interviewing her, but I'm glad I did not. But the premise of this book is she's a Sikh woman, and after 9/11, a lot of Sikh folks were also targeted because of bigotry, prejudice, all the bad things. And someone that, she was very closely connected to, Sikh, had a turban, was shot and killed at a gas station. She ended up befriending the murderer, and forgiving him eventually. So her book talks about that journey of how we cannot see any stranger, and any person that we don't know is a part of us that we just don't know yet.
Right.
So she befriended the person who killed her uncle, essentially, and read him parts of the book. And then he eventually passed away. But yeah, story about forgiveness and redemption and everything else. So highly recommend this book. Tara Brach. Oh my goodness. This book I read years ago, probably about 9 or 10 years ago. It was one of the very first books that I read after my divorce. And it was so helpful for me to get to a stage of acceptance, right? Accepting where I was in my life, not judging myself, but it wasn't in a saccharine, overly spiritual type of way. It was very authentic and real, and understanding that pain is part of life. I like her so much that I listen to her meditations on Insight Timer still. She's really good, and she has a really wonderful podcast as well.
Oh my God, where was that book?
When we got divorced.
I really could have used some radical acceptance for myself.
Highly, highly recommend this book. This was a game changer for me, and her podcast is really incredible.
Yeah, what's her podcast called?
I don't know, something Tara Brach.
Okay, great. Tara Brach. Noted.
And then this book was given to me by a friend of mine, Tressie McMillan Cotton. She has an incredible social media presence as well. This series of essays is all about being a full-bodied Black woman, and I love it.
Amazing.
So good. Again, I recommend this book, but I also just recommend following her because she's such an incredible writer. She does op-eds for the New York Times as well sometimes. So those are some of my top books that I recommend. The other ones, okay, hold on.
You do some juggling?
Yes. This is a book that I recommend pretty much all of the time. And it's called Let Your Life Speak, Listening for the Voice of Vocation by Parker Palmer. Parker Palmer is based in Madison, although I did not know that when I first was introduced to this book. I got introduced to this book in, I think, 2001, 2002 from a coworker when I worked at the state health department. And I don't know why she's like, I have this book to give to you. And it was her copy. And I don't know why she gave it to me. But I read it and it resonated so much about figuring out what you want your life to be about. So he thought that he was going to do this thing in academia and all this other kind of stuff, but ended up having several bouts of deep depression. And I have a history of depression, anxiety, all of that. And it spoke to me in such a way that I hadn't heard grown-ups speak about depression at that point.
Yeah.
And it was really, really helpful about knowing that just because you think you're going down one career path, it doesn't always have to be that. You don't have to be beholden to what you thought your life was going to be about. And so having that courage to listen to your life and your vocation of what your vocation could be is really big. So I recommend it a lot because I think so many of us think that we're supposed to adult in this certain way. We're supposed to have this kind of career because someone told us that we needed to be this way. And this is saying, a life is more than just your day job, right? What is the vocation? What is the impact and all of that you want to leave on the world? And how does that tie into what you want to be doing day in and day out?
Wow.
Love that.
I recommend this so often. He also has a podcast called The Growing Edge with a folk singer named Carrie Newcomer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right out of Madison.
He's based in Madison. Carrie Newcomer, I don't know where she's based out of, but
So many great podcasts out of Madison, Wisconsin.
right?
Seriously. And the other thing that I like about Parker and his podcast is that he's this like mid-80s-year-old guy.
Oh my God.
Doing this podcast, talking about life's journey in a very authentic and beautiful way. Yeah, I love it.
Wow.
That's such a great perspective.
My TBR pile is going to get even bigger.
Well, this is one of his early. He wasn't in his 80s when he wrote this. He was younger. But he has I can't remember the book. He has a book on aging gracefully and what that means and what it means to pay it forward as you age to the next generation. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So he's wonderful. And the other book that I recommend all of the time is called What Fresh Hell Is This? It's all about perimenopause. I am obsessed with perimenopause to the point where my kids are like, "Is this perimenopause?" I think I'm having a hot flash. I'm like, "Can you stop?"
They know you too well, basically.
You're
an open book.
Do they both of us have talked about perimenopause as like it's like the reverse of puberty. Because I've talked to them so much about puberty.
I mean, that's great that they know about these things.
I guess
Such
Normalize
educated humans you're sending into the world.
Yeah. I don't need them to, use that knowledge on me.
Yeah, ideally, no.
Yeah. Right. But what Fresh Hell Is This normalizes perimenopause and hormonal stuff in such a beautiful, beautiful way. I love it.
Does it have like guidance and tips and all that too?
It does.
Amazing.
It does. I use that book more as a reference book.
Oh.
This is one of the books I had in bed with me last night because I'm like, why can't I sleep? Let me go get up. What fresh hell is this again?
I was wondering because earlier you said
I sleep with my books.
yeah.
I've done that for a very long time.
Right.
Yeah, since I was in high school.
Tucked under the pillow, or like you just finish reading to go to sleep and kind of just set it next to you.
Both.
Yeah.
I have some tucked under the pillows. Some. Yeah. I've always slept with books. Have you? Do you sleep with books?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes I wake up with them.
Yeah, it's more of an accidental thing. Or like if I'm kind of towards the middle of the bed and like this just the nightstand's a little too far, you just kind of like close it.
I have a relationship with books.
Oh. You're talking to the right people about this.
This is getting so weird. But I write. I'm a book writer. So people will say, hey, can you lend me this book? And I'm like, I really don't want to.
No.
Because
then you can see what I wrote. Yep.
And some of it's not even logical. This goes back to the ADHD. I will write something so this book is about a decolonial memoir. I have it written in this book. I want to learn how to make tea.
Okay.
So I'll be reading the book and a thought comes up.
Yeah.
I'll just write it down.
Yeah.
Thinking that I don't know why I write it inside the middle of the cover. That doesn't make any sense. It's not logical.
Is that mostly where you write, not like in the margins? You write on the cover?
I write in the margins.
Okay.
I'm writing everywhere.
Pencil, pen, highlighter?
Always pencil. Cannot be pen. Cannot be highlighter.
Good for you.
Cannot be colored pencil.
Oh.
I lent someone a book once that I had already kind of had my annotations in. They wanted to also do their annotations, so they used a colored pencil and returned it back to me. And I quietly flipped out on the inside.
Annotating someone else's book is quite the bold choice.
No kidding.
I would never.
No.
Right?
No.
I would never. Especially when they have their own notes in there. Wow. So when you reread, do you do a lot of rereading such that you look then at your notes and kind of reference them?
It depends. So emergent strategy, I read that. I reread sections of that regularly. I go back to different sections often. Poetry books, I go back to often on certain poems because I do a lot of speaking. I integrate poetry, not from other people, not from me, because I'm not a poet, but integrate poetry from other people into when I'm giving speeches sometimes. And I go back to those often.
I'm not an annotator. I've never gotten the bug. I'm trying to read almost as fast as possible, and I feel like it really slows me down. And I just want to get sucked in, and I feel like that also takes me out of it.
You know, I think I annotate differently on different types of books. I annotate nonfiction, not fiction.
Sure, there you go. And there are some people though that annotate fiction.
Yeah. I sucked at English class, so I really did. So when
That surprises
folks would
me.
be like, what does this mean? I'm like, I don't really fucking care. What I liked, what I didn't like.
Yeah.
Why are we trying to make much to do about nothing?
Yes,
Can we not?
totally agree.
But I was a science person.
Yeah,
So
good for you.
also Simon, apparently.
Yeah, we're all Simons here. Let's be
Yes,
real.
yes.
We're all Simons.
We are. Yeah.
Tell us about ADHD now.
What do you want to know? I'm
Well,
still
your
learning.
book and also your experience.
Okay, so I have a lot of stories. So got diagnosed like 3 weeks ago, right?
Insane.
And now I'm just learning, not even learning, realizing so many of my stories are fully ADHD moments. Do you want me to share a couple?
Please.
Yes.
Okay, and by the way, this book been so helpful. How to ADHD. I love it, and it has normalized how my brain works in such amazing ways. So I highly
By
recommend
Jessica
this book.
McCabe.
Yep, by Jessica McCabe.
Okay.
So, couple of things that I just thought were, you know, classic Angela stories. It's fully ADHD. I'm going to share two. One is right after, this has happened at Jenna's too. After my divorce, I thought, you know, I was going to meet up a friend, thought I was looking super cute, as one does. Go upstairs in Jenna's, chatting with the bartender, probably flirting, as one does.
As one does.
As one does.
Looking cute.
Thinking I was
Feeling
looking cute.
good.
Yeah.
My friend gets there. She reaches over with a horrified look on her face and says, Angela, do you realize you have a tampon hanging from your necklace?
Oh my gosh.
I had no idea.
Angela. Why?
ADHD.
What kind of tampon are we talking? Was it in a plastic sleeve? Was it in an applicator? We
It
talking
was
the
in a
little
plastic
OBs?
sleeve, half open, unused.
Okay,
Important.
Good to clarify. We assumed.
Yeah,
we assumed, but that's good to clarify.
But how did it happen? It is ADHD. It was the winter, and I had apparently a necklace in my coat pocket, and also a tampon in my coat pocket. Leaving the house, thinking, "Oh my God, I need a necklace on." Reach in my coat pocket. There's one there, and I just put it on.
Yeah.
That's how it happened.
Yeah.
I didn't put my necklace where it belonged. I just put it in my coat. Didn't look in the mirror before I left the house. So I didn't realize, you know, and it's like, and then just grab something without paying. Fully ADHD. I just thought that those are like classic Angela moments. I have so
I
many of them.
love it. Me and Molly are
got
actually
me.
convulsing.
You got me again with that one. I'm trying to think about the ADHD aspect because I'm like, I mean, I'll leave the house without looking in the mirror. I'll leave, but I feel like I am, I guess, a little meticulous, almost in the opposite direction sometimes.
You would probably notice if you had a tampon.
That's fair. That's fair. But, you know, we all do things, you know, that are, you just have your shirt on backwards. That happens to me pretty frequently, or I don't know. My pants were falling down the other day and I was just walking around the store.
Here's another example. So several years ago, my kids were little. I was still married at this point. Made some blueberry pancakes for my kiddos. I had some. I love making blueberry pancakes for them when they were little. Had some, and then I went to go get some more. And I'm like, where are the blueberry pancakes? I made so many. And the pancakes, the plate, all of it gone. And I was freaking out. I'm like, I have no idea where these went. So I fully made up a story that I believed. And I'm like, Andy, that's my ex-husband's name. I'm like, someone came in and got our pancakes. Like, we would leave our doors unlocked regularly. Sure. I'm like, they must have been really, really hungry. I guess, like, that's weird. But if someone was that hungry and got our pancakes and our plate, I'm okay with it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I made the story up. It was a full-on story. But I'm like, someone came and ate our pancakes. Weird. I went and talked to my neighbor, talked to them about the pancakes being gone, plate being gone. Like, just be careful. I mean, someone's hungry in our neighborhood near West Side of Madison. Someone's hungry. I get home, open my oven. There's a stack of pancakes in the oven. And I had no recollection of putting them there.
Whoa.
That's ADHD. That is. Oh, yeah.
So does it affect your memory?
Short-term memory.
Oh. Wow.
It's pretty intense.
Pancakes in the oven.
Yeah.
You hid them from yourself.
Apparently. And sometimes I think I'm going to hide something really special, and so I can remember.
yeah.
That doesn't work.
No.
Yeah.
Never works.
Yeah.
No. You put it somewhere like, oh, I will definitely remember it here. No. You remember that you did that. You don't know where that spot
I
is.
wouldn't even remember that I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And just, no.
Wow. So you're really like reliving all of your classic memories
Oh
and
my
stories
God.
through this new lens now.
I am, and I'm cracking up and making voice memos and sending them to my friends because it's
Like, remember
Oh,
that
funny.
one time?
You should also start sending them to yourself to remind you.
good call.
I've started doing this.
Yeah.
We actually did an event here with BJ Hollers, and he talked about how many voice memos he did. And I was like, that's genius. So I've started doing that same thing.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, he did voice memos like with his kids and his family. He was just doing voice memos of all the conversations they were having. He didn't even know it was going to be for a book, but it was just to kind of capture those moments.
cool.
And then he ended up being able to use it to turn it into a book. It's almost like a way of journaling then, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, doing a voice memo to yourself.
And I started journaling the beginning of this year, and I've been very bad at it. So I'm
I was going to ask you how
What does
you've
that
been doing.
mean to be bad at journaling?
I'm not doing
Not
it.
doing it.
Have you made more than one entry?
Yes, did like every day through the end of February. I did good.
Good.
But then I just stopped. And then I got overwhelmed with everything that had happened. I was like, I can't
You can't recap.
recap.
Well, you know the thing that I'm doing. Have you heard about this? We have these little books that are one line a day, and it's like a 5-year journal, so that every day you just put one line in. It's
I
like
hate that so much.
really.
It would be so hard for me to just get down to
Such a
one line.
commitment.
I'm in it. I'm 5 months in. I started January 1st. I've done it every day. I mean, sometimes I'll miss a day and then I'll have to like the next morning I'll go write like what did I do yesterday? But sometimes it's just a little thing that I'll be going to bed at night and it's like a little, you're supposed to do gratitude
Yes,
stuff
right.
whether you're going to bed or when you get up in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's my way of, usually it's like me venting about something and bitching rather than being grateful. But if anything, it like helps me reframe it and think about it by, it's almost like a little gratitude to, or if I can't even think of anything, I'm like, I don't know, it was a normal day. Then it helps me refocus like, wow, I'm so grateful for just having a healthy, normal day and nothing went terrible. And I'll just remember, I'll write one little thing like ate this for dinner with my partner or had
like
this funny thing. I really love it.
So like, oh my God, don't put me in a box. I don't.
Well, I do. I mean, I guess to me, it just seems like a low commitment. I'm like, it's just a line. You don't have to write a lot. You're just like putting a little thing into a time capsule. So when it will really pay off is next year.
Right.
I'll be seeing every little line from past Molly of like what they did that day.
Okay.
And I'm really excited for that part. So I feel like I'm planting seeds right now. I'm planting seeds for the next 5 years where I will enjoy looking back and being like, I told my partner, it's going to drive him crazy because every night I'm going to be like, last year, this is what we were doing.
That's hilarious.
He's going to want to kill me because that's what I'm already really excited about being
So
like,
you haven't looked back and seen what
No.
you've written at all. You're waiting to do that.
nope,
Okay.
I haven't. Well, it's like, I don't know. I have like opened randomly to a page from 3 months ago and just been like, I wonder what that was. But it's not as meaningful as I think the year turnover. So
Do you sell them here?
yes, we do. And they're really cute little journals. They fit right on your nightstand. There's a lot of different styles.
All right. I may have to live with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll hook you up.
All right. Cool.
I feel like I've never journaled my whole life.
Oh, really?
Ever. And it was a really approachable thing that I could try and do some of that gratitude practicing and some like memory recording because I just have a really bad long-term memory. And this is a really important time in my life. I'm starting this business and I'm developing these relationships and I want to remember like the little things, not just the big things.
So I started journaling when I was 12.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and it's inconsistent over
Sure.
my life course. But I had my kids read my journal from when I was 12, 13.
You are such an open book with your kids.
No
Oh my
kidding.
God. I'm so impressed.
And they both have roasted me so much. So do you remember the channel USA Today?
Yep.
Okay. There was a dance show on USA Today, and I had a crush on one of the dancers whose name was Little Spicy. No, not Little Spicy.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and apparently I journaled about Little Spicy. And so when we're, eating, kids will randomly look up at me. One of them will be like, is this a Little Spicy? Like you.
Oh my God.
I also journaled about wanting to be able to sing like Aretha Franklin, but it was really sad that I could not sing like Aretha Franklin.
Oh man.
My kids know all about this now.
Oh, so does everybody else.
Right.
This is hilarious. Oh my God. I love you so much, Angela.
I love you too. I love you also. So funny.
Yes.
These like past insights. I didn't even expect to go down this like memory lane road, but it is really, I feel like I'm learning so much about you. Much like your kids must feel every day when they look through your journals.
Oh my God. They thought that was hilarious. So funny.
You don't let them read your like current journals, do you? You
Not
would.
really. No, there's nothing. My current journals are more about visioning about what I want my life to be like over the next 10 years. So there's nothing really. I mean, they could look at it, but they'd be like, ugh, boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They tell me I'm boring on a regular basis.
It's not spicy enough.
Oh my God.
Oh, now you're going to hear it from us too.
I know. That's going to be a thing with us now when we're eating.
Is it a little spicy? I have to like do some research on who this was. And,
I know. I want to see who Little Spicy is.
I need to educate myself.
I see tomorrow out of the corner of my eye.
I can't believe you haven't talked about that yet because
Yeah, it's just because I forgot.
yeah.
Hashtag. I literally gave that book a hug when I was done reading it. It's a book that I had on my shelf for a very long time, but was obsessed and wanted to kind of re-engage with it again right after I read it.
It's so good.
It's so good. And I haven't read that kind of writing. I don't know how to describe the writing other than immersive, holistic, incredible character development. There was some neurodiversity engaged, even without naming it was neurodiversity. You know what I mean? It was just beautiful.
It was. And I love following characters over a long period of their lives. Stories like that do feel more immersive to me rather than when I read a back cover of a book and it's like, this takes place over 4 days in an exciting heist or whatever. I'm like, I'm less into it.
Yeah.
Like maybe it'd be like a nice page flipper, but to me, getting really into a different world and a life over that long, that takes such skill as a writer too, to make you care about those characters
For that long.
And there has to be like such an arc for the story that's like engaging over that much time. Yeah.
She did such a good job. Gabrielle Zevin.
Incredible job.
Yeah.
The other thing that I do like about some books, and this happens more in fiction than it does nonfiction, is when they talk about certain music. So some books will talk about an album, and I'm like, I've never heard of that. And so I get sidetracked and I go and listen to I love that. In this one book, even though this is nonfiction, she talked about Aretha Franklin's gospel.
What is the book again?
How to Live Free in a Dangerous World. Such a good book.
Shayla Lawson.
Shayla Lawson.
Yes.
Aretha Franklin's gospel album is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
And I had forgotten about it. And then when she mentioned it, I put the book down again, got distracted, and went to listen to the album again. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I love when authors integrate music into their books as well.
Well, it does. It gives you like another sense because then if you know those songs that they're talking about, you can almost hear it happening in the background. So it like engages your brain in a different way.
Yep.
I love that too. And it reminds me of, have you started reading Funny Story yet, Jamie?
Yes, I started reading this morning and I've been dabbling a couple pages at a time all day.
Well, there's a scene when they're in a bar and there's a song that comes on and they talk about it. And I feel like when they tell me like what song comes on and it's like a song that everyone knows, it just like puts me there. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, I'm in it. I am in the, and there was a song that is like a song that I love that they mentioned during this one moment. And I went like, I just felt it so much harder because they mentioned that song.
Yes.
Because music also engages your feelings, right? Like your brain, like they do all these studies about like Alzheimer patients who they hear a song from their childhood and it like they make these miraculous connections again because of that song. So to me, it just, I totally agree with you. Music and books.
Kind of the reverse of that. Any like musical biography by an artist, and that they talk about their life and then the music they were writing during it. I do the same thing. Like I want to go
listen.
I'm going to listen along with the story.
So that's one of the books that's on my nightstand. It's called She Begat That by Joan Morgan. And it's about the miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Oh God, I loved that
album. That album.
Obsessed.
And what it did for the era of hip hop.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's on my nightstand. I need to start it. But yeah.
That sounds fascinating. I might need to look that book up. That album was so important to me. I was like in high school when it was like formative.
Yep.
On repeat.
Yep.
Only CD in my car for 2 years.
Well, okay. So CDs, do you remember CDs organization?
Yep.
And book organization?
Yep.
So when I would go into like people's apartments or dorm rooms, I would look to see what are the CDs that you have. I still do that with people's books. What are the books that you have?
100%.
And if you have certain books, I may judge you. I'm not going to say those books out loud because that would not be kind. But it's just I think books and the books that you have on your shelves are so insightful into who folks are,
because those are the ones you keep too,
right?
And what you have on your shelf. To me, I'm a little judgmental sometimes, but I'd say mostly if you have no books is when I am judgmental, and I'm like, what are you doing here? A house is not a home without a big old bookshelf.
Fully agree. And there are people who don't have books. I know. It's crazy. I don't understand it.
I know. We're trying to normalize just like having lots of books and that being cool.
Absolutely.
Cool.
And also okay. Like I don't need to get rid of any books. I can just keep getting more.
Yeah.
Angela, this has been amazing.
So much fun.
Thank you.
We could talk all afternoon.
We really could.
We could laugh all afternoon.
That too. That too. I have no more funny stories. I've only shared. Yeah.
You used all the
I
funny
don't believe
stories.
you. Yeah.
I also don't believe you. Just pull open that notes app.
Oh my God.
Pick one.
There are a lot of classic Angela moments.
Love it.
This is going to be another classic Angela, I think.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody be sure to listen to Black Oxygen.
Yes.
And thank you for listening to Book Pop. See you at the bookstore.
Bye.
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 You can find all these titles and more at lakecitybooks.com/book pop. You can listen to Book Pop on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and at Speak.Studio/book pop. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and review. For a behind-the-scenes look, find us on YouTube at Book Pop the Podcast. Comment on today's episode by sending us an email at bookpoppodcast@gmail.com. Or find us on Instagram at Book Pop the Podcast.